This week, ladies and gentlemen, I have been called a ped-munching fraud and I have been dubbed a parasite. Now, neither am I a human who has a host of the same species that I derive value from at the host's expense, but I'm most certainly not a fraud. In fact, I've always been very, very open about my use and experiments with performance-enhancing drugs, and that's what I'm going to tell you all about today. So if you want to know exactly what I've done, and more importantly, why it's important to you, you're going to want to stick around because I'm going to break down the exact timeline of when I took performance-enhancing drugs, why I took them, and what on earth is going on with me now. Because it is a very, very unfortunate, bitter industry that people don't really have critical thinking ability. People can't, on one hand, accept that someone has done anabolic steroids and still potentially give incredible fitness advice. It is almost as if I didn't spend years and years perfecting my craft naturally before I even touched a steroid. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of what my natural journey looked like. And by the time that I had actually started using anything, I'd already competed in bodybuilding. I don't know if this is going to be in frame, but that was me. And I looked pretty damn good as a natural. On the thumbnail of this video, I'm sure I'll drop like a photo from my natural photo shoot because I documented my journey through taking performance enhancing drugs from day one. Why did I do this? Because I wanted to document the experience, because I documented everything that I had done, everything that I achieved in fitness for years and years prior to that as a natural, because it didn't come easy to me. If you've seen the photos from when I was much younger, I wasn't raised in many sports and hobbies and raised to be active. I was always very academically driven, so I was always very, very out of shape growing up. The reason that I can relate to pretty much every one of my clients is because I'm not some gift. I was never gifted naturally with genetics. I wasn't just naturally in good shape. I had to work for it, and that is what really inspired me to dig deep into education surrounding physique development and body transformations, because I progressed slower than all my friends. I was the last one to hit a 100 kilo bench press. I was the last one to get a six pack. And it was incredibly, incredibly frustrating because I felt like I was giving it my all. And what I had to do was go figure out exactly what was going to get me these results, which is the methods that I now pass on to my clients, 99% of whom are completely drug-free, just like myself, for years and years prior to using any anabolics. So over the years, I really did develop a great approach to fitness, and that created a natural physique that was eventually good enough to dabble in competitive bodybuilding. This was a drug-tested show. Everyone there was completely drug-free, and I actually got completely obliterated, to be very, very honest. It is a really terrible misconception that if someone has a good physique, then they must be on steroids. And I know there are going to be some bitter fucks watching this video who think that I must be lying and I was actually still on gear then, but it was just less of it. And the truth is that I was actually pretty meh for an amateur because my genetics are meh. One of the biggest reasons why I decided to go down that path of taking performance-enhancing drugs was for competition and to even the playing field. Because in the natural realm, you are confined by your genetics. There's nothing that you can do to even that playing field. You could give two people the exact same program and the results are going to differ dramatically, which is exactly what happened in that show. I knew my stuff. I'd coached IFBB pro bodybuilders at that point. I'd coached dozens of people to achieve body transformations, help people lose their first 10 kilos, coach competitive world-class athletes, and everything in between. So I had a good grasp of what I was doing. I'd spent years prior refining my approach so that I could make the most out of the least when it came to that next step in my journey. So August 2022 was when I did the natural show. That was completely drug-free. I got ill after, and that photo shoot is one that I did while I was ill and still somehow looks pretty damn good. My arms were big, I had abs, I had a really, really solid natural physique. I'd put in the work, I'd spent years educating myself, and I'd spent a lot of time behind the scenes researching performance-enhancing drugs as well. So in November 2022, when I'd recovered from illness, when I had got myself to a point that I was happy with, that I'd now be stepping forward into new territory, I started my first steroid cycle. And I'm not going to go into the details of stack design and what you should take and why. There are much better people on the internet for that. But I took a little bit of testosterone. This was an incredibly low dose, 250 milligrams. Towards the end of that cycle, I added in a little bit of Masteron because there were signs that that was already too much testosterone on its own. I was starting to have quite high estrogen as a result of the aromatization of that. And that basically went on through to early 2023. Throughout 2023, I cycled on and off, or technically blasted and cruised. I'd take time off at physiological range, testosterone replacement therapy dose. We're talking 100 milligrams a week, legit TRT dose, not these idiots that are cruising on 250 milligrams a week because it's half of their blast dose. That's not how cruising works. You actually need to be in physiological range so that you can basically alleviate the negative effects of being super physiological with your hormone levels for a period of time. So throughout 2023, we spent growing. At this point, by the time we get to the end of 2023, it's been just over 12 months that I've been assisted. And my goal is to compete again in 2024. So start of 2024, January, we started my first enhanced prep after only a year of growing using anabolics. So that takes us literally to just the start of this year. Up to this point, I've been lifting, I want to say 8 years. And of that time, 2 of those were enhanced. So 3/4 of my fitness journey, I've spent completely drug-free. I've spent the vast majority of my coaching career completely drug-free. The vast majority of my clients are completely drug-free. So if you wonder, can I really trust this guy? Because he's just marketing this great physique in front of us. He's taking performance-enhancing drugs. You'd be an idiot to think that I couldn't get you results because that I've used performance-enhancing drugs. Because the truth is that the highest my dose ever got was at the end of my prep this year, and that was on a grand total of 640 milligrams, aka what many people will take more than on their first cycle. So January started this prep. I wanted redemption for the natty days, so I was doing this enhanced prep. I think anyone will have told you, anyone that was watching the journey, that if I did end up competing in the show that I was scheduled to do, I would have won. So the question, was it worth it? 100% for me, because at the time that I was at in my life, bodybuilding was something that was incredibly important to me. The competitive element of bodybuilding was something that I really wanted to excel in, and that was simply part of the way there. Up until this point, I've been doing fine naturally. I had a great physique, and really what I wanted to do was now take that into new realms, develop my knowledge in that area, have the experience. I knew that my training approach was great for natural lifters. I didn't change a thing when it came to training. Throughout my time enhanced, I tried everything all over again. I tried high volume training, I tried low volume training, I tried literally everything that I tried throughout my years as a natural. I tried it again while I was enhanced, and I came to the same conclusions because steroids are not a miracle drug. Yes, they accelerated my progress profoundly in just the space of that 1 year enhanced off season. I can't remember my actual body weight at the time, but I remember that when I got shredded in that prep in 2024, I was a good 10 or 11 kilos heavier shredded than my natural prep in 2022. So in just over a year of growing, I put on well over 25 pounds of pure muscle, which is pretty crazy at an advanced level of physique development. But what steroids do not do is just automatically put muscle on you. The truth is that I was able to still assess my rate of progression in the gym with various training styles, keeping my nutrition on lock. So that gave me a great opportunity to continue refining my approaches with my clients who are all pretty much drug-free. There are some transformations on my Instagram that I've coached bodybuilders. Let's be real, a lot of people don't like me because I am brutally honest, but that's just how I am. So I've highlighted where clients aren't drug-free. You can make the decision for yourself when it comes to transformations on my page. But that was basically what took us through to April 2024. Since April 2024, I have not been super physiological with my hormones. I came off at the end of that prep, or technically down into TRT dose. My values and just my actions in life were drastically unaligned. And for anyone who's listened to the early episodes of this podcast, you'll know that coaching has always been my number one passion. Helping other people with their fitness goals has always been the number one thing for me. And bodybuilding did start to clash with that, which led to me having to really go back to the drawing board and figure out what I was all about. And that's what ultimately led me to coming off of gear in April. So I've been completely physiological for the good biggest chunk of this year. I went traveling in Asia, I came back, I did a little mini cut, and now I've been back to growing. And now, due to priorities, I'm actually completely off of anabolic steroids. I went completely cold turkey in September. So September, completely off. And as of November 2024, when I'm filming this, I have been completely cold turkey since the start of September. So I've now over 2 months, a good sort of like 10 or so weeks at this point, without taking even testosterone replacement therapy. And being real, that's been pretty rough. As you can imagine, there have been periods where my energy has been very low, where my mood has been a little bit compromised in terms of just my mental health and stuff. It has bearings on relationships. And the reason that I'm doing this in the first place is because I'm very blessed to say I have a woman who I love in my life now, and we'd like to start a family within the next couple of years. So this is now geared around my current values in life, which is I'm not trying to be the biggest bodybuilder that I can be anymore. I am still progressing very nicely in my training. I've held on to, and this is a really good test for those who know their shit when they come off gear. Do they just quickly see all their gains disappear, or do they actually hold on to it because their training and nutrition is set up so effectively that they can actually go back into a physiological range, or go completely cold turkey? At the moment, I have no testosterone in my balls, which kind of sucks to say. I need to go get my bloods done. That's on the to-do list. Obviously, with the end result of restoring my fertility. But point being, I'm still progressing nicely because my training is the shit, and it will be for you too if you want to trust me and get results like all of these many natural clients that I've helped achieve their fitness goals. So what lies ahead in the future? Who knows? I'm not opposed to use of anabolic steroids. I can't lie, most people probably shouldn't take them because the risk to reward just isn't there. I was a competitive athlete. I understand the importance of stack design, and I know how to make the absolute most out of what I do when it comes to performance enhancing drugs, because my training and nutrition has been dialed in at 100% for as long as I can remember. But the average person is not going to be in that position. So even if you have goals to get a physique beyond what you could probably achieve naturally, should you take anything? Odds are probably not, because you need to be 100% locked in, because you need to be able to get those results with 500 milligrams of gear versus with 1,000 milligrams of gear, because that is where the real deadly health basically risks start to become much more prevalent. Throughout my time on, I know people who've ended up in the hospital with their organs compromised. Throughout my time on, I've consistently done my blood work to ensure that I can manage things as safely as possible. And there's no such thing as safe when it comes to PED use. There's only such thing as safer. Making the decisions to try and yield the least risk, but that least risk is still not no risk. So if you're looking for something that is completely risk-free, don't be an idiot and do what I do. This is simply to give you a background of my natural journey, what I achieved as a natural, why I took PEDs, and what exactly is happening now with me coming off, so that you know that at the end of the day, I'm someone who built everything that they have completely natural and helped countless others do the same. If you're interested in how exactly I can help you with your fitness goals, the link below is to my Instagram. You can see a little bit more of my work there. If you fancy, feel free to fill out the application form down there as well, or just DM me the word lean on Instagram, and I'll happily give you a little bit more info about exactly how my coaching program can help you. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Pray for Kev's testosterone levels, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.